Yo, what's up, guys? Just here for a quick update. We just closed the imbalance we were waiting for. So the question now is, do we close above today? Can we close above today? That would mean that there is a great chance we're going to take out this liquidity here above. I can write it here so I don't forget it. So if we are able to close above this price, let's see what the price is exactly. If we really can break with candle close, let's take the daily because it's more important. Even if now it's rejecting, does not mean we cannot close today above. If we do not close today, we really should break it in the latest 48 hours. If that doesn't happen, you need to be very careful, because now the last, let's say, fair value gap or imbalance is closed. We had a liquidity sweep here also from the sell side. So once we broke this trend line here, which was a very important trend line for most people, since we broke it and retested it, we created that last high, which was broken today. Here it just was a liquidity sweep basically, so a lot of sellers or big sellers were sitting here at 43,596, and what they did is just swept these highs, make buyers think we're gonna break to the upside, and then just push the price back down. Then stayed in a side, in a small consolidation. We can also say that it was some kind of, it's not really a bull flag, but it was, let's say, an ascending triangle. Often, because the top line was sharper to the downside than the downside, than the support. Basically, it just says that where it breaks out is high likely where it will go. So in this case, it broke out, but I didn't was sure it could break. So I was waiting for the break, and then yeah, it quickly ran up to the imbalance. And once it is closed, there is a risk that basically this move here is a confirmation for the next down move. So let's take scenario A. Scenario A would be that this is the high, this is the new low, and let's say the top of this imbalance or fair value gap, the close of it, would be the high. So once we break this low here, there's a 75 to 80% likelihood that we are gonna meet at least touch the 1.618, which is the golden ratio in the Fibonacci sequence. So this is also where my down targets came from in the last videos. Plus, we have this long sideways action. How long did it took? From 19th of March 2023 until, let's say, 22 of October 2023. So it took a long time to break that high. Sorry. And this would just mean, obviously it would not be great for our investments short term, but it would not be devastating too. So it's another chance. We have some imbalances that need to be, or most likely will be, closed. There's never 100% chance. It also can just, let's say, if it happens, let's say we break here and it comes down, it can fulfill that imbalance, touch the 1.618, and then try to build back up. So this for me would be what you need to anticipate if we break 38.5. So between 38.5 and where we are now, it is very hard to say if we're going to go down or not. So it really depends on what the big players want for now. So, but technically, once we break this low and we don't immediately reject it after we broke it, then yes, most likely we will see 30k Bitcoin again. Let's say between 32 and let's say 30k. It can even go to 27k. But let's say 30k, it's a good average. And this is also what I told people that asked me back then when we started breaking out of these highs. They asked me, should I buy now? I wanted to come into Bitcoin, but I thought it's going to go lower before it's going to pump. And then I said, listen, even if it's going to 40k, 42, 43k, eventually it will come back down. Not because that happened all the last cycles or the last cycle, but just basically because our extensions for now are reached. Every extension, every move we did is now reached. So as you can see here, this sequence here was created at the bottom of the bear market, and which had a target here at the top, which also correlates with that imbalance we were looking for. This one. And now, where this one got filled, and then the ETF pumped it just a little bit higher, and actually it just swept these highs here. Look, it just swept above it and then came crashing back down. So let's forget this. But basically all the upside targets were met, which shows the strength it has, how high it could go. I mean, if there is really FOMO, we can hit the 2.618, which is not impossible. But we always want to see small correction if we had that type of events as we saw here. It would just be healthy, you know. This would just be healthy for the price in the long run. And you can accumulate more. So these are two things that you need to watch for. So what is the other scenario? Let's say we go up from here and we don't see temporarily downside movement. Let's say we would break this imbalance, which for now it looks like there is some kind of resistance coming. So until now, we need to be patient. If we manage to break it, we will get some resistance on this trend line. But the liquidity that is up here is a lot more interesting for the market. So if, in my opinion, if we break this high of this candle and we can push above that weak low or that imbalance, I am highly convicted that the market is at least going to try to swap that high. And if we don't get a rejection here that pushes us back down, then you need to wait a little bit for it to go up. And if it comes down, then you can try to reaccumulate if you think it's going to go higher without, let's say, major correction. So for now, the only thing why I am here was to tell you that the imbalance is closed, that our first target was met, and now you need to be careful. It's still a waiting game. So now we just need to see what the next few candles are doing. Can we break it or does it fail? If it fails and we would, let's say, break these lows here, then you can pretty much say that we are going to go down significantly more. You also have this trend line. I don't really like to use trend lines, you know, but there will be some kind of resistance here. It does not mean that it will hold. Maybe what is more important is this low here. Once we break this low, I mean, the next target would be after swapping these three lows. We have imbalances here and we have a low here with a lot of liquidity too. So once we break that low of 42.245, there will be a high chance for the price to come at least at 40k, back to 40k. So if you are a trader, this is more important. If you are an investor, short-time volatility doesn't or should not, you should not really care about it. So this is for Bitcoin. If we break the fair value gap and we close above it, we will most likely see a sweep of these highs at 49k. So that means that we could push above it. And if we reject here, you should be really careful because then there is no liquidity anymore. This means it was just the liquidity grab. And once we break the 42.245, you can almost be sure that there will be a big push down to this low here. And once that is broken to the downside, the sequence is active. So then what I want to say is the higher we go now, the less higher the move will become once we go back down. So I always mention this. You have these 3 different sequences, just for people that were not on the channel yet when I explained it. So you have 3 different sequences. And actually, the higher B corrects to the upside, the lesser power 0AB price action has to the downside or either to the upside or downside. It is the same. So in this case, if we, for example, if this would be the local top now, and we come break down and break this trend line, let's say the 1.618 would be 30.8, 30k 850, let's say. Now, let's say it corrects to the 778.88 retracement and then rolls over. Then we have a different sequence, a different price action, which also has different power. Let's say it goes to the 88 again, way top before. It's just to explain. So in this case, it would not be 30,850. It would be 32,296, almost 32,300, just because the market could push it higher before it rolled over. So now let's say it does a double top and then rejects and breaks this trend line. This would even make the correction lesser dangerous. So the higher it goes now before it corrects, the lesser harmful the correction will be in the short term. So if it now overextends as this one, so it goes higher than the starting point, you see it will either even be high. It would not need to come down as much as if it would react now, break the highs and go down. Today my English is not the best, but we will get it. If there is something you do not understand, you can write it in the chat. So yeah, I hope you understood this. I will also upload this video again, so don't worry, I'm just quick live because it's important price action and this is time sensitive content, so I needed to cover this right now and not tomorrow. So yeah, this is the bearish side. Okay, so let's talk about where we could go in the short term to the upside. So here we have the same thing. We have a bottom which was created with a swab of lows, and in the daily it was an imbalance that got filled. So it closed the last imbalance. Here we had these choppy moves over a long time, over a few weeks, and then we finally broke out and we created that imbalance. And look how perfectly on the dot with this wick here, it just retested it and bounced back. So now we have this imbalance, which could protect us from breaking this low. It does not mean that that imbalance will work, but it can protect us. So let's say we break now to the upside today, tomorrow, or after tomorrow, and then come back down. It would need to react in that imbalance for the move to be still intact, for the move to be still active. Otherwise, we would have broken this low here, which means break of structure to the downside. And if this one does not react, we will come back to this low, maybe close it completely and react. But once we lose that one, we're going to go and meet the targets we talked just before. So this is what you need really to pay attention right now if you are not yet in the markets and are already in profits. So this high here, why is this important? This is important because even if we go higher, we can just sweep these highs, take every buyers in, take this imbalance here and reject it again. So to be really sure of a continuation, I would much prefer really that it breaks the 50 to 52k with candle close and everything. So people, because the market and the news and everything confuses everyone so that nobody knows what is going to happen, because the sentiment is just, everything is chaos right now. So people don't really know what to believe, and so on and so on. So when people talk about these halving dips, they talk about dips not like this. Most people talk about dips like this after the halving and then going into the bull run. But people forget that this one was a COVID event. This was a big market crash. So let's say the halving here was around that time. And then the market corrected. How much did it correct? It corrected 38%, let's say 40%. So you can see how much would it be from the top to 40% bottom. So we would basically come back down and close these imbalances as we said. So this is for me the most likely scenario that could happen right now. What is very possible, but what I don't believe is gonna happen is that we go straight to the upside, breaking all-time highs. This is not something that I believe is gonna happen. So then for Ethereum, the same. If Bitcoin breaks the high, Ethereum will most likely, and this is a great call I give you right now, if Bitcoin breaks, Ethereum will try to also claim this level here, where Bitcoin already is. So this is also, in another video I explained this. This would be, let's say, it would catch up like 30 to 50% when Bitcoin maybe does 10. So maybe it would be more interesting for you to look into Ethereum right now than looking into Bitcoin when it comes to an investment on the short term. Here you also can see where we reacted was just in an imbalance. So we reacted here, but we didn't break the low, which was very important. It was important to not break this low here, or let's say even this low here, which we didn't yet. So that is great for the moment, and it looks like it's gonna at least try to get that highs back and to maybe close it completely. Or did it close completely? Yeah, okay, it closed completely. So once we break this high with candle close, we can easily come to this high here. If we reject, wait, I just look in smaller time frames if there is nothing I missed. Okay, so yeah, this here is an imbalance, and then this one, okay. Then we had, okay. So there are a lot of imbalances, but I would say the most important one are these two here. So you have an order block with an imbalance in the order block, which is very strong. And then let's say it overextends and goes higher, then we have still this one. So this will be the short-term targets. Okay, let's say it starts at 2769 until 2915. If we break 2914, 2915, we will go over 3K and close this one. And then after that, as I said, Bitcoin, for example, just swept these highs here. Bitcoin just swept these highs here and then came back down. And this is where we are right now with Bitcoin, exactly here. So this is all the move Ethereum needs to catch up, which is from where we are right now to, let's say, the imbalance at least 38%. Okay, so this is for Ethereum. Same to the downside as Bitcoin. The higher it goes now, and it would not break this high, roll over and break these lows, you can see, let's say we would roll over right now, the target would be here in that imbalance. It's always the same thing everywhere. Okay, so yeah, hold that in mind. We're gonna go and break these highs in that imbalance. What happens there, nobody knows. If we lose this low here, we're gonna try to correct back to close these remaining imbalances to then go into the bull run. So after all these things I tell you now, the bull run will come. So if we don't see a correction coming, let's say in the next 3 months, there is a high likely chance that we will do as before. Not here in the Ethereum, because Ethereum, yeah. Look, we just had quick sideways action, consolidation, and pump. So maybe this time we do not need to come back down to these levels. But if it happens and you don't know it, you will panic. And you will most certainly not buy more. And you need to buy more if you want to ride the bull run and take as much profit and make as much money as you can. This is where you should consider to buy, even dollar cost average over the dip, because maybe you will try to let's say to buy the bottom here, and then it comes until here, whoop, and it is gone, or it comes until here and it is gone. So you always dollar cost average. But for right now, it's still a head and shoulders. So we really need to see. Ethereum didn't really break the imbalance yet too. So we have the close of the imbalance here, which we just swept, and then we came back down. So now we really need to be patient. As long as we, on Ethereum, we do not break temporarily, let's say the 2,332, this can also just be a quick correction, and then trying to reclaim these highs here, okay? And then last, on XRP, same, we have this channel, we are trying to break out. If we break out and break 0.5262 cents, or let's say 53 or 54 cents, then we will at least see a pump to 62 cents too. So it always depends on Bitcoin, or let's say tomorrow is a big news that is coming and it pumps alone, or even Ethereum, XRP, or any other coins. So we never know what will happen. So, but technically, we also have this week here, but if I go to another chart, that week is not as big. This is a futures contract on Bybit, so the chart looks a bit different. But here, as you can see, where there is a little bit less liquidity, the market didn't dump that hard. And maybe you ask yourself, why did we come that low again? Because we had an imbalance, a fair value gap here that needed to be filled, okay? So for right now, we just have these two imbalances. These two imbalances in the XRP chart. For me, personally, we will not go under 39 cents again. This is what I believe, because we are now over 5 years at the same price, and I just don't see why it would need such a decline in price when basically it stayed the same during all this time. So this is all. Thank you for watching. I wish you a great evening from Luxembourg, and see you on